I still remember standing outside my parents' house that cold March evening in Portland, Oregon. The last sliver of daylight was fading behind the Victorian roofline, and my father's face was granite hard as he pointed toward the street. My mother would not even look at me. My sister stood behind them with her arms crossed, shaking her head like I was a lost cause. My father's words cut through the chill air. Sleep in the gutter where you belong. I did not argue. I did not beg. I just smiled a quiet, knowing smile and turned my back on the only home I had ever known. 3 weeks later, everything changed. Before I tell you what happened in those 3 wild weeks, let me ask you something. Where are you watching this from? Have you ever been misunderstood by the people who were supposed to know you best? Drop a comment and let me know. If you believe that sometimes the best response to doubt is silence and success, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe if you want to see how this all plays out, because trust me, you will not believe what I did next. Share this with anyone who has ever been told they were not good enough. Because what I did in those 3 weeks even, I could not believe I was capable of, and it all started with the worst dinner of my life. It was 2 weeks before I got kicked out. Sunday dinner at my parents' place. They were renting this beautiful Victorian-style house in the Pearl District, one of those old buildings with tall windows and hardwood floors that creaked when you walked. My father, Gregory, was 62, a retired accountant with steel gray hair and a permanent frown. My mother, Patricia, was 59, a housewife who spent most of her time worrying about what the neighbors thought. And then there was my younger sister, Diane, 25, who worked in marketing and could do no wrong in their eyes. I pulled up around 6 in the evening. The smell of pot roast drifted out when my mother opened the door. The dining table was set with their good china, the chandelier above casting warm yellow light across the room. But the warmth stopped at the light. The air itself felt cold. We sat down and my father wasted no time. "Alistair," he said, passing the potatoes without looking at me, "are you still wasting time on those pipe dreams of yours?" I was 28 years old, working as a freelance software developer, and I had been building something on the side for 2 years, an AI automation platform, something I believed in. I tried to explain it to him, keeping my voice steady. "I am working on a startup, Dad. Artificial intelligence that helps small businesses automate their workflows. I have been getting real interest from investors." He snorted. "Investors? Right. When are you going to get a real job?" My mother set down her fork and gave me that look, the one that said she was disappointed, but trying to be gentle. "Alistair, honey, why cannot you be more like Diane? She has a stable job, benefits, a nice apartment in West Hills." Diane smiled from across the table, cutting into her roast. She had just gotten a promotion. She could not wait to tell everyone. "They just made me senior account manager," she said brightly. "I might even get my own office next quarter." My parents beamed at her. My father raised his glass. "Now that is what I call success." I felt something tighten in my chest, but I kept quiet. I had learned over the years that defending myself only made things worse. They would never understand. To them, success meant a corner office and a 401k. To me, it meant building something that mattered. I got through dinner somehow. When I left that night, my mother hugged me at the door, but it felt mechanical. My father just nodded. Diane waved from the couch, already scrolling through her phone. I drove back to my tiny shared office space downtown, feeling invisible. But 1 week later, something happened that changed everything. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I was sitting in my little corner of the co-working space staring at my laptop screen. My coffee had gone cold hours ago. Sunlight slanted through the tall windows, and I was deep in code when my email pinged. The sender was Marcus Holloway. The subject line read, "Your AI platform." My heart kicked into a higher gear. Marcus Holloway was the CEO of Tech Venture Capital, a major investment firm out of San Francisco. I had sent him a demo of my platform months ago and heard nothing back. I figured it had gone into the void like 100 other pitches. I opened the email. My hands were shaking. Alistair, it read. I have been testing your automation platform for the last 2 weeks. I am impressed with the architecture and scalability. I would like to discuss a potential acquisition or investment. Are you available for a meeting this Friday in San Francisco? I read it 3 times to make sure I was not hallucinating. An acquisition or investment. This was real. This was happening. I called my mother immediately. I could not help it. I wanted to share the news. Mom, I said when she picked up, something incredible just happened. I got an email from a venture capital firm. They want to meet me. They are talking about buying my platform. There was a pause on the other end. Alistair, she said slowly, please do not get your hopes up. You have disappointed us too many times before. The words hit me like cold water. I swallowed hard. Mom, this is different. This is real. I am sure it is, honey, she said, but her tone said she did not believe me. Just be careful, okay? I hung up feeling hollow, but I pushed it aside. I had work to do. Friday came. I flew down to San Francisco on a budget airline wearing the only suit I owned. Tech Venture Capital's office was on the 42nd floor of a glass tower overlooking the Bay Bridge. Marcus Holloway met me in a sleek conference room with floor-to-ceiling windows. He was in his 40s, casually dressed in jeans and a blazer. Not the stuffy investor type I had imagined. He shook my hand firmly and gestured for me to sit. I've been in this business a long time, he said, and your platform is one of the smartest things I have seen in years. The way you have handled scalability and user interface design, most developers miss that. I tried to stay calm, but my pulse was racing. He slid a folder across the table. Here is what I am thinking. I can offer you $3.5 million to acquire the platform outright. Or we can do a Series A funding round valuation at $7 million and you keep equity. I stared at the numbers on the page. $3.5 million. I could barely breathe. I will take the acquisition, I said. I wanted the money now. I wanted to be able to prove to my parents that I was not a failure. Marcus smiled. Smart choice. We will have the papers ready by Monday. You can sign then, and the money will be in your account by Tuesday. I flew back to Portland that night in a daze. I could not stop thinking about my father's face when I told him. I could not wait to see my mother's reaction. For once, they would be proud of me. Saturday morning, I drove to their house. I stopped and bought flowers for my mother, pink peonies, her favorite. I picked up a bottle of vintage wine for my father. I practiced what I would say the whole drive over. When I rang the doorbell, my mother answered. Her face did not light up. What are you doing here, Alistair? I came to share some news, I said, holding up the flowers. She took them hesitantly. My father was in the living room watching television. He did not even look up when I walked in. Diane was there too, sitting on the couch with her phone. I sat down across from them. I have something to tell you, I said. I tried to keep my voice steady. That startup I have been working on, a venture capital firm, just offered me $3.5 million for it. I am signing the papers on Monday. I pulled out my phone and showed them the preliminary contract Marcus had emailed me. There was silence. Then my father laughed. It was a harsh, bitter sound. Another one of your schemes, Alistair. When are you going to grow up and stop lying to us? I am not lying, I said. This is real. Look at the contract. My mother's face went pale. She looked at me with something close to fear. Alistair, please tell me you are not involved in anything illegal. Diane chimed in from the couch. Did you steal someone's code or something? Because this sounds too good to be true. I felt the room closing in on me. Nobody believed me. My own family thought I was a liar or a criminal. I tried one more time. I opened my laptop right there in their living room and pulled up the email chain with Marcus. I showed them the due diligence documents, the technical assessments, everything. But my father just got angrier. You probably forged these, he said, his voice rising. Stop embarrassing this family with your lies. My mother started crying. How did I raise such a deceptive son? She said, pressing her hands to her face. Diane stood up and crossed her arms. This is pathetic even for you. Mom, Dad, maybe he needs professional help. I felt my chest tightening, my throat closing up. My hands were shaking. I could not understand why they would not believe me. I had proof. I had documents. But it did not matter. They had already made up their minds about who I was. I will prove it, I said, my voice cracking. Monday I will sign the papers. Tuesday the money will be in my account. Please just trust me this once. My father stood up. His face was red. If you do not stop this nonsense right now, you are no longer welcome in this house. Fine, I said. Monday you will see the proof. Get out, my father roared. He pointed at the door. Get out of my house. I stood there frozen. My mother turned away from me, her shoulders shaking. Diane just shook her head, disgusted. My father's finger was still pointing at the door, his face twisted with anger. You are not my son anymore, he said, his voice cold and final. Go sleep in the gutter where liars belong. Do not come back until you learn to be honest. The words hit me like a physical blow. I looked around the room, at my mother who would not look at me, at Diane who looked at me like I was a stranger, at my father whose eyes were full of contempt. I still had the flowers in my hand. I set them down gently on the coffee table. The wine bottle sat unopened on the dining table. I did not beg. I did not argue. I just smiled. It was a sad smile, a knowing smile. A smile that said I understood something they did not yet. Goodbye, I said quietly. It was almost a whisper. I walked out. My father slammed the door behind me. The sound echoed in the quiet evening. I stood on the porch for a moment, the cold March wind hitting my face. The sky was turning gray. I could see curtains moving in the neighbor's window. They had probably heard everything. I walked to my old Honda Civic, hands shoved in my pockets. Before I got in, I turned and looked at the house one more time, the house I grew up in, the house where I learned to ride a bike, where I had birthday parties, where I thought I belonged. They will see, I thought. They will all see. It was not about revenge. It was about proving to myself that I could stand on my own. I spent that night in a cheap motel on the outskirts of Portland. I did not call anyone. I did not check social media. I just sat on the lumpy bed and reviewed the contract for Monday over and over, making sure everything was in order. Sunday dragged by. I stayed in that motel room listening to rain tap against the window. I thought about my childhood, family trips to the coast, birthday cakes with too many candles, Christmas mornings. All of it felt like it belonged to someone else now. That evening I was scrolling through old emails on my laptop when I found something interesting. An email from 6 months ago. It was from a man named Theodore Hendricks. He was the landlord who owned the Victorian building my parents were renting. The email mentioned that he was thinking about selling the property and wondered if I knew anyone interested. I'd saved the email out of curiosity at the time and then forgotten about it. Now staring at it, an idea formed in my mind. Monday morning I flew back to San Francisco. I met Marcus at his office. We sat in that same conference room and I signed page after page of legal documents. When it was done, Marcus shook my hand. "Welcome to the tech venture family," he said. An hour later, my phone buzzed. It was a notification from my bank. Wire transfer received. $3,497,000 after taxes and fees. I sat in a coffee shop near the office and stared at my phone screen. I had more money than I had ever imagined, but there was no one to share it with, no one to celebrate with. My family did not believe me. My friends were few and far between. Then I remembered that email from Theodore Hendricks. I pulled it up and found his phone number. I called him right there in the coffee shop. "Mr. Hendricks, this is Alistair. We corresponded a few months ago about your building in the Pearl District." "Oh yes," he said. He sounded older, tired. "Are you interested in buying it, Diane?" I said. "Is it still available?" There was a pause. "It is," he said. "I have been trying to sell it for months. Not a lot of buyers interested in older buildings these days." "What is your asking price?" $2.8 million, he said. "It is 6 units. Victorian-style prime location. The tenants are good. Leases are solid. The building needs some minor repairs, but the bones are strong." "I will take it," I said. "Cash offer." He laughed like he thought I was joking. "You have not even seen it." "I know the building," I said. "I know it very well." "Let us close as fast as possible." We agreed to close in 2 weeks. Over the next 14 days, I hired a real estate attorney named Sarah Brennan. She was sharp and efficient. We fast-tracked everything. Title search inspections paperwork. I wired $2.8 million to the escrow account. During those 2 weeks, I rented a small studio apartment downtown. I did not contact my family. They did not try to reach me either. My phone stayed silent. No texts, no calls, nothing. I checked Diane's Instagram once. She had posted a photo of a family dinner. The caption read, "Family is everything." Red heart emoji. There were comments from relatives. "Beautiful family. So blessed." Nobody asked where I was. Nobody noticed I was missing. I closed the app and went back to work. 2 weeks later, on a Friday afternoon, I sat in an escrow office in downtown Portland. Sarah Brennan sat beside me. Across the table was Theodore Hendricks, a man in his 70s with kind eyes and weathered hands. We went through the final paperwork, deed transfer, title insurance. Everything was in order. When it was done, Hendricks slid a small bundle of brass keys across the table. "You are young to own a building like this," he said. "I have been saving up," I said, which was not exactly a lie. He smiled. "The ground floor tenants, Gregory and Patricia, they are good people. They pay on time, keep the place clean. They have been there 7 years. Take care of them." I nodded, not revealing that I knew them very well. I usually did annual lease reviews in person. Hendricks continued, "First Saturday of every April. You might want to continue that tradition. It keeps good relationships with the tenants." "I will do that," I said. He looked at the calendar on the wall. "First Saturday of April. That is tomorrow." "Yes," I said, "it is." That night I barely slept. I kept thinking about what I would say, how I would stand, what expression I would wear. This was not about revenge. This was about closure, about showing them that I did not need their approval to succeed. Saturday morning, I woke at 6. I showered and dressed carefully. Dark jeans, a pressed button-down shirt. Professional but not showy. I practiced breathing exercises to stay calm. I drove to the Pearl District and parked across the street from the building. I sat in my car for a moment looking at it. The Victorian architecture, the tall windows, the brick facade, glowing in the morning sun. My building. I owned this. I decided to visit the other tenants first. I knocked on Unit 2. An elderly couple, Mr. and Mrs. Thornton, answered. I introduced myself as the new owner. They were warm and welcoming, invited me in for coffee. We discussed their lease renewal and some minor repairs they needed. I took notes. I did the same with Units 3, 4, 5, and 6. Unit 4 was rented by a graphic designer named Jerome. We talked about the building's internet speed. He was easygoing, friendly. By the time I finished with the upper units, it was almost 10 in the morning. Finally, I stood outside Unit 1, the ground floor, my parents' unit. I took a deep breath. Then I knocked. Footsteps. The door opened. My mother stood there. Her face went pale. "Alistair," she said. "What are you doing here?" Behind her. I heard my father's voice. "Who is it, Patricia?" He appeared in the doorway. His face hardened when he saw me. "Good morning," I said, keeping my voice calm and professional. "I am here for the annual lease review." My mother looked confused. Where is Mr. Hendricks?" "Mr. Hendricks sold the building 3 weeks ago." My father narrowed his eyes. "What does that have to do with you?" "I am the new owner," I said. "I bought it." Silence. Complete suffocating silence. My mother's hand went to her mouth. My father's face cycled through shocked disbelief and then anger. "You are lying," he said. "This is another one of your schemes." I pulled a folder from under my arm and opened it. I showed them the deed. Their names were listed as tenants. My name was listed as owner, legal official notarized. My father stared at the document. His face went slack. "This cannot be real," he said, but his voice was hollow. "How did you—" "The deal," I said quietly. "It was real. I closed it 3 weeks ago. The Monday after you asked me to leave." My mother's eyes filled with tears. "Oh my God," she whispered. "Alistair, we did not know. We thought you were making it up." "I know," I said. Footsteps behind them. Diane appeared visiting for the weekend. She saw me standing there with the folder. "What is going on?" she asked. My father explained, his voice flat. "Alistair bought the building. He is our landlord now." Diane's face went through the same cycle of emotions: shock, disbelief, realization. I kept my voice calm and professional. "Your lease is valid through December. I am honoring all existing agreements. Rent stays the same. I will handle the repairs you requested last month. I am here as your landlord, not as anything else." The silence stretched. My father tried to speak, but no words came out. My mother was crying quietly. Diane stared at the floor. "I will send the renewed lease terms by mail," I said, and turned to leave. "Son," my father said, his voice cracking. "Wait." I paused. I looked back at him. "I am not your son, remember," I said. Not with anger, just stating a fact. "You said so yourself. I am your landlord now." I walked down the Victorian hallway. Sunlight streamed through the stained glass windows, casting colored patterns on the wooden floor. I did not look back. I walked out of the building, got in my car, and drove away. The week after that, letters started arriving. My mother sent a 2-page handwritten letter. My father sent one too. Shorter, stiffer, but full of words like regret and mistake and sorry. Diane sent an awkward email attempting to rebuild some kind of bridge. I did not open them right away. I left them on my kitchen counter and focused on other things. I had a building to manage, tenants who needed things, repairs to schedule. I also started looking at other investment opportunities with the money I had left, and I started going to therapy for the first time in my life. I talked about my childhood, about always feeling like I was not enough, about the weight of trying to earn love that should have been freely given. A month passed before I finally read the letters. My father's letter was full of shame. He admitted that he had projected his own failures onto me, that he was afraid I would end up like him, stuck in a job he hated for 40 years. My mother's letter was longer, filled with explanations about fear and worry and thinking they were protecting me. Diane's email was brief, uncomfortable, trying to explain that she had just followed their lead. I read them all and felt empty, not angry, not happy, just free. I started building a new life. Mrs. Thornton from Unit 2 became like a grandmother to me. She invited me for tea on Sundays. Jerome from Unit 4 and I became friends. We grabbed beers after work and talked about design and code. I had dinners with people who chose to know me, not people obligated by blood. I realized that family was not just about who you were born to. It was about who showed up for you. 3 months after I bought the building, my parents reached out again. They asked if I would meet them for coffee. I agreed, but I chose a neutral location, a cafe downtown. We sat across from each other in uncomfortable silence at first. Then my father spoke. He looked older, grayer. "I was wrong," he said. "I projected my own regrets onto you. I was afraid you would fail because I felt like I had failed." My mother reached across the table but did not quite touch my hand. "We thought we were protecting you by pushing you toward stability. We did not realize we were just pushing you away." I listened. I did not interrupt. When they finished, I took a breath. "You hurt me," I said. "You did not believe in me when I needed you to. But I understand that you are human. You made mistakes. I have made mistakes too." We talked for an hour. It was not a perfect reconciliation. The wounds were still there, but it was a start. "Do you forgive us?" my mother asked, her voice small. "I am working on it," I said honestly. "But things cannot go back to the way they were. I am not that person anymore." My father nodded. He looked like he understood. 6 months after I bought the building, I stood on the rooftop one evening. The sun was setting over Portland, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The building was thriving. All units were rented. The tenants were happy. I had started a second venture with the remaining capital, something smaller, something I was passionate about. I thought about my parents. They still lived in Unit 1. We saw each other occasionally, cautiously rebuilding something new. Not the relationship we had before, but something more honest. I realized that the best thing they ever did for me was force me to stand on my own. They did not mean to give me that gift, but they did. Sometimes the people who should believe in you most cannot, not because you are not worthy, but because they are trapped in their own fears. Their doubt says nothing about your worth. Walking away is not giving up. Sometimes it is the only way to grow. Success is not about proving others wrong. It is about proving to yourself that you can survive without their validation. I did not buy that building to hurt them. I bought it to show myself I could. My phone buzzed. A text from my father. "Sunday dinner, your choice of restaurant." I looked at the message. I smiled. Not a bitter smile, not a triumphant smile, just a peaceful one. Maybe I typed back, "Let me think about it." I put my phone away and watched the last of the sunset disappear behind the hills. They say home is where the heart is. I used to think that meant the house I grew up in, the people I shared blood with. Now I know it means anywhere I choose to build it. And sometimes the best revenge is not revenge at all. It is building a life so full that you forget you ever needed theirs. So let me ask you this. Have you ever had to walk away from people you love to find yourself? Have you ever been doubted by the ones who should have believed in you most? Drop a comment below and share your story. If this resonated with you, hit that like button. Subscribe to this channel if you want more real stories about resilience and quiet victories. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that they are enough even when others cannot see it. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it reminds you that your worth is not determined by anyone's opinion, not even your family's. Stay strong, stay true to yourself, and remember that the best proof is the life you build when no one is watching. Take care.